A humble maid who had worked for years in a billionaire's mansion suddenly found herself accused of stealing something she never even touched. She had no lawyer, no money, and no one willing to believe her. Everyone turned against her. Everyone except the little girl who loved her as she would love a mother. For several trials, she went to court with no one to defend her, but when that little girl walked into the courtroom holding a folder, the truth she revealed changed everything the world thought they knew. Before we continue with this story, dear viewers, don't forget to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and tell us in the comments where you're watching from. We'd love to know. Naomi had worked in the Cresswell mansion for 7 long years. She was the kind of maid who never complained, never missed a day, and never raised her voice. From sunrise to sunset, she swept the marble floors, cooked the family's meals, and cared for every detail of the house as if it were her own. To the staff, she was known for her calm nature. To the family, she was invisible, except to one person, little Ariel Cresswell, the billionaire's daughter. The two shared a bond that no one could understand. Naomi would braid her hair, read bedtime stories, and stay by her side whenever her parents were too busy. Ariel loved her like a second mother, but not everyone in that mansion felt the same. Evelyn Cresswell, Julian's powerful and controlling mother, had never trusted Naomi. No matter how perfectly Naomi did her job, Evelyn always watched her closely, like a hawk waiting for her to slip. Then came the day that changed everything. It was a calm Thursday morning when Naomi was polishing the dining table. Suddenly, Evelyn's voice thundered from upstairs. "Naomi!" she shouted. "Get up here, right now!" Naomi's heart jumped. She rushed up the stairs, wiping her hands nervously on her apron. Evelyn stood beside her open jewelry box, her face pale with rage. "Where is it?" she snapped. Naomi blinked. "Where is what, ma'am?" "My diamond ring. The Cresswell family ring. It's gone." Naomi froze. That ring was known throughout the house, a priceless heirloom passed down for generations. She remembered seeing Evelyn wear it to charity dinners and family gatherings. I don't know, ma'am," Naomi stammered. "I haven't been in your room since yesterday morning. Maybe it fell somewhere." "Don't you dare lie to me," Evelyn's voice rose. "You were dusting this room yesterday. You were the only one here. No one else could have taken it." Naomi shook her head, terrified. "Ma'am, I swear, I didn't touch it. I'd never steal anything from you." Just then, Julian Cresswell, the billionaire, walked into the room. His suit was immaculate, his face calm but distant. "Mother, what's going on?" Evelyn turned dramatically toward him. "Your maid has stolen from us," she said. "That ring was in this box last night. Now it's gone." Julian's expression tightened. He looked at Naomi. "Is this true?" Naomi's voice broke. "No, sir. I've never taken anything in my life. You know me. Please, believe me." But Evelyn interrupted sharply. "You can't defend her, Julian. I've known her type all my life. She's been pretending to be loyal while taking advantage of our trust. It's time she's taught a lesson." For a moment, the room fell silent. Naomi prayed Julian would defend her, but instead he sighed and said quietly, "Maybe it's best if you take some time off, Naomi, just until we sort this out." Naomi's chest tightened. "Sir, please, that will make me look guilty. I haven't done anything wrong." Julian looked away. "I'm sorry, Naomi. My mother insists." Evelyn smirked. "Pack your things. The police will handle the rest." Naomi's knees went weak. The house that once felt like her second home now felt like a stranger's prison. She went downstairs to gather her belongings. Ariel ran to her, confused. "Naomi, why are you leaving?" the girl asked. Naomi forced a smile and knelt beside her. "It's just for a little while, sweetheart. Be good, okay?" Ariel frowned. "Grandma said you stole something." Naomi's eyes watered. "Don't listen to that, baby. Sometimes grown-ups make mistakes too." The little girl hugged her tightly. "I know you didn't do it." Naomi's voice trembled. "Thank you. But before she could say another word, Evelyn's cold voice cut through the air. "That's enough. Let her go." Naomi walked out of the mansion with her small bag in hand, the heavy iron gates closing behind her. That night, 2 police officers knocked on her apartment door. Her neighbors peeked through their windows as they questioned her, searched her drawers, and looked under her bed. One of them spoke coldly. "Ma'am, we'll need you to come with us." At the police station, Naomi sat under a bright light as strangers fired questions at her. "Did you need money? Do you have debts? Did you take it to sell?" Each question cut deeper. "No," she said softly. "I didn't steal anything." But her words didn't matter. The report was written. Her name was printed. Her reputation was gone. When she was finally allowed to go home, the world around her had already changed. People who once smiled at her now whispered when she walked by. At the grocery store, no one greeted her anymore. Even her landlord looked at her differently. She sat alone that night in her small apartment, staring at her folded Maid uniform. Her hands trembled as she touched the apron, the same one she had worn with pride for years. "How could they believe I'd steal?" she whispered. "After everything I've done for them." Tears rolled down her cheeks. She had given that family her time, her care, her loyalty. But the moment something went missing, she became the enemy. Outside, the wind blew softly through the open window. The city lights flickered in the distance. Naomi sat there for hours, too tired to move, too hurt to sleep. But deep down, one thought began to burn quietly in her heart, a tiny spark of strength that refused to die. Days turned into weeks, and Naomi's world grew quieter by the day. What used to be simple routines, going to the store, greeting her neighbors, washing her front steps, now felt like heavy tasks. People no longer saw her the same way. They didn't see a woman who worked hard for years. They saw the maid who stole from the Cresswells. At the corner store, whispers followed her. "That's her," one woman murmured. "She stole a diamond ring, I heard," another replied. Naomi kept her head down and said nothing. Every stare was a knife, every word a wound. Her apartment, once her little place of peace, now felt cold. She stopped opening her curtains. She barely cooked anymore. Most nights, she just sat in silence, listening to the city hum outside. The only sound that kept her company was the ticking clock on the wall, a reminder that life was still moving, even if hers felt stuck. But what hurt her the most wasn't the rumors or the loneliness. It was silence from the Cresswell mansion. No letter, no message, not even a single phone call. Not from Julian, not from Evelyn, not from anyone. Except, she thought of Ariel, that sweet child who used to wait at the gate for her every morning. Naomi often wondered if Ariel still thought of her, or if Evelyn had already made sure her name was erased from the little girl's heart. One evening, as Naomi folded the same clothes she had already folded 3 times that week, a soft knock came at her door. She wasn't expecting anyone. When she opened it, her heart nearly stopped. Standing there, in her little pink sweater and holding a backpack, was Ariel Cresswell. "Ariel?" Naomi whispered, shocked. "What are you doing here, sweetheart?" The little girl's eyes filled with tears. "I missed you," she said, rushing forward to hug her. Naomi knelt and held her tightly, her arms shaking. For the first time in weeks, she felt warmth again. "Does your father know you're here?" Naomi asked softly. Ariel shook her head. "I told the driver I wanted to visit a friend." She looked up at Naomi. "Grandma said you took her ring, but I don't believe her. I know you wouldn't do that." Naomi's throat tightened. "Oh, Ariel. I don't even have words for what that means to me." From her backpack, Ariel pulled out a folded piece of paper. It was a drawing, a stick figure picture of 2 people holding hands beside a big house, with Naomi and me written at the top. Naomi smiled through her tears. "It's beautiful," she whispered. "I'll keep it forever." Ariel nodded. "When you come back, I'll draw one with the 3 of us, me, you, and Daddy." Naomi brushed her cheek gently. "One day, maybe." They sat together for a while, talking about simple things, flowers, songs, the old kitchen cat Naomi used to feed. For that short time, it felt like the world was right again. When Ariel finally had to leave, Naomi walked her to the door. The little girl turned back and said, "Don't give up, Naomi. I'll tell Daddy to listen to you." Naomi watched her go until she disappeared down the hallway. Then she closed the door slowly and pressed her back against it. Tears streamed down her face, not of sadness this time, but of hope. For the first time since everything fell apart, she believed maybe the truth could still come out. That night, Naomi placed the drawing on her small table and stared at it. It gave her strength. She began looking through her old work papers, payslips, letters of recommendation, photos of events she had helped organize. She placed them all carefully into a folder. "If no one will defend me," she whispered, "then I'll defend myself." The next morning, she put on a clean blouse, tied her hair neatly, and went downtown to the legal aid office. Inside, she waited quietly until a young man came out of a small room, holding a stack of files. "Can I help you, ma'am?" he asked politely. Naomi nodded nervously. "My name is Naomi Cresswell. I was accused of stealing, but I didn't do it. I need someone to help me prove it." The young man introduced himself. "I'm David. I'm not a full lawyer yet, but I can help you prepare your case." His tone was kind and his eyes sincere. Naomi felt a small weight lift from her chest. She explained everything: the missing ring, the police, the humiliation, and the silence that followed. David listened without interrupting. When she finished, he said quietly, "You've been treated unfairly. But we'll start small. Gather every record, every note, everything that shows who you are. It might not be easy, but we'll find a way." Naomi nodded slowly. "Thank you," she said, her voice shaking. "You're the first person who's believed me." Over the next few days, she and David worked side by side. He helped her list every detail from the day of the incident. The time she cleaned, the room she entered, even the moment she saw Evelyn walk upstairs before dinner. Naomi began to see small holes in the story Evelyn had told. Things didn't line up, but just as they started making progress, a new problem appeared. The news outlets began reporting the case. Articles painted Naomi as the dishonest housemaid who betrayed the family that fed her. Evelyn had hired a famous lawyer, Robert King, a man known for crushing any case that stood against him. Within days, social media was full of comments against Naomi. Some called her greedy. Others said she was lucky she wasn't already in prison. When Naomi saw the headlines, her hands trembled. "They've already decided I'm guilty," she said quietly. David tried to reassure her. "That's how power works sometimes, but truth doesn't stay buried forever." Naomi stared at Ariel's drawing on her table. The little stick figures smiled back at her. "Then we'll keep digging," she said. That night, Evelyn Cresswell sat in her grand bedroom, reading one of those same articles with a satisfied smirk. "Let's see her fight her way out of this," she muttered to herself. She didn't know that somewhere across town, a young lawyer and a broken maid were already beginning to uncover cracks in her perfect lie. The fight for truth had just begun. Weeks passed, and the day Naomi had been dreading finally arrived: the trial. The courthouse was packed that morning. Reporters stood by the gates, microphones ready, flashing cameras in every direction. Naomi stepped out of the taxi, clutching her worn brown folder to her chest. Her palms were sweaty, but her face was calm. She had promised herself she would walk in with dignity, no matter how the world saw her. Inside, she could feel the weight of every eye on her. Some people whispered as she passed, others stared openly. The courtroom was large and cold, with high ceilings and long benches. On one side sat Evelyn Cresswell, dressed in her finest pearls, her face calm and proud. Beside her was her powerful lawyer, Robert King, flipping through files like a man who already knew he'd won. Naomi took her seat quietly. Her heart pounded as the judge entered. Then, the trial began. Robert King stood first. His voice was smooth, practiced, confident. "Your Honor," he began, "this is a simple case of trust betrayed. My client, Mrs. Evelyn Cresswell, opened her home to this woman. She treated her kindly, gave her employment, and trusted her with her family. And how was that trust repaid? By theft, by deceit." He paused, looking toward Naomi with a slight smirk. "The evidence speaks for itself. The accused had direct access to the jewelry room, was alone at the time the item disappeared, and left abruptly the next morning. There is no doubt what happened here." Evelyn nodded approvingly. Reporters scribbled down every word. When it was Naomi's turn to speak, her voice shook at first. "Your Honor," she began softly, "I have served that family for 7 years. I have cooked their food, cleaned their rooms, and cared for their child. I never touched that ring. I didn't steal anything. All I want is a fair chance to prove it." The prosecutor rolled his eyes. The judge gave a polite nod but said nothing. Witnesses came one by one. A former gardener said he once saw Naomi walk near the jewelry room. A former maid said she thought Naomi looked nervous that week. None of it was real proof, but it painted her as guilty. From the back of the courtroom, Julian Cresswell sat quietly. His expensive suit couldn't hide his guilt. He looked at Naomi only once, then lowered his eyes. He hadn't defended her then, and he wasn't defending her now. Naomi felt her chest tighten. The people she had loved like family were sitting just a few feet away, watching her sink. When the hearing ended that day, Naomi stepped outside, surrounded by flashing cameras. "Naomi, did you steal it?" a reporter shouted. "Are you guilty?" She said nothing. Her silence became the headline that evening. Cresswell Maid refuses to deny theft allegation. By the next morning, her face was everywhere. She was tired, humiliated, and ready to give up. But when she walked into the legal aid office, something unexpected happened. David was there, sitting beside a woman Naomi had never seen before. "Naomi," David said, standing. "This is Laura. She's a lawyer, a real one this time. She read about your case and wants to help." Laura smiled warmly. She was young but confident, her tone firm yet gentle. "I've seen a lot of unfair cases," she said, "but yours stood out. I think someone's hiding the truth, and I want to find it." Naomi blinked, unsure what to say. "Why would you help me?" Laura's answer was simple. "Because it's the right thing to do." That afternoon, they spread all Naomi's documents across the desk: schedules, letters, pay slips, even cleaning checklists. Laura read each paper carefully, her brow furrowed. "There are holes in their story," she said finally. "Look here, this witness says you were in the jewelry room at 8 p.m., but your cleaning schedule shows you were downstairs preparing dinner. And this statement here? It's missing a signature. The police record looks rushed." Naomi leaned closer. "Does that mean something?" Laura nodded. "It means they didn't take their time. Someone wanted this case to move fast, too fast." Over the next few days, Laura began investigating. She visited the Cresswell mansion and requested access to the security records. When the results came back, Naomi's suspicion was confirmed. The hallway security camera outside Evelyn's room had been turned off on the exact night the diamond ring went missing. "That can't be a coincidence," Laura said, tapping the report. "Someone inside wanted no one to see what really happened." Naomi felt her heart pound. "Do you think Mrs. Cresswell?" Laura looked at her seriously. "Let's just say I think the truth is closer than you think." While Laura dug deeper, Evelyn was doing the opposite. She continued using her power and money to control the story. Newspapers printed her quotes, calling Naomi a sad example of misplaced kindness. She spoke at charity events, pretending to be the victim. Even Julian avoided questions, saying only, "It's in the court's hands." At night, Naomi barely slept. Sometimes she'd stare at Ariel's drawing on the wall, the one with the two of them holding hands. It reminded her that not everyone believed the lies. Somewhere inside that mansion was still one person who knew the truth. And then, something strange happened. One morning, Laura rushed into the legal aid office, holding her phone. "Naomi, you need to see this," she said breathlessly. On the screen was a blurry photo taken from a charity event weeks after the ring supposedly disappeared. In it, Evelyn Cresswell was smiling at the camera, wearing a large diamond ring on her finger. Naomi's mouth fell open. "That's it! That's the same ring!" Laura nodded. "It looks like it, but the photo isn't clear enough for evidence. I took a screenshot before the post was deleted. Whoever uploaded it took it down minutes later. But at least now we know we're getting close." Naomi felt tears in her eyes. For the first time in months, she saw a small crack in the wall that had trapped her. "Laura," she whispered. "You're my only hope." Laura smiled. "Not the only one," she said. "If what I'm starting to suspect is true, someone else in that mansion might have seen more than they realize. We just need to reach them." Naomi frowned. "Who?" Laura looked at her and said quietly, "The little girl Ariel." Naomi's eyes widened. She thought about that soft voice, that pure heart, and the promise Ariel had made. "Don't give up. I'll tell Daddy to listen." The storm had only begun. The next hearing came faster than Naomi expected. The courtroom was filled again, this time even more crowded. The news about the photo had spread quietly online, and people were curious. Could the poor maid really have been innocent all along? Naomi sat beside Laura, her hands trembling slightly. She had barely slept the night before. Every sound, every whisper in the courtroom echoed in her mind. She had dreamed of this moment so many times, of finally being heard, but fear still wrapped around her like a chain. Across the room, Evelyn Cresswell sat upright in her expensive navy suit, her chin high. She looked calm, but her fingers tapped nervously against the table. Beside her, Robert King adjusted his glasses, ready to strike down anything that didn't fit their story. When the judge entered, the chatter stopped. The sound of his gavel hitting the desk echoed like thunder. "This session is now in order," he said. Laura stood, her voice clear and steady. "Your Honor, before we proceed, I'd like to present new information relevant to this case." Robert King smirked. "Your Honor, I must object. We've already gone through every piece of evidence. This is an attempt to delay." Laura didn't flinch. "I'm not delaying, sir. I'm uncovering what your side has tried to hide." The judge gestured for her to continue. Laura held up her tablet. 2 weeks after the alleged theft, Mrs. Cresswell attended a charity event in the city. We have photographic proof that she was wearing a diamond ring identical to the one she reported stolen. The image was later deleted, but a copy was preserved. Gasps filled the courtroom. Reporters scribbled rapidly. Evelyn's lawyer jumped up. "That's absurd. The ring in that picture could be any ring." Laura interrupted sharply. "Perhaps. But we also discovered that the hallway security camera outside Mrs. Cresswell's bedroom was turned off the night the ring went missing. And the only person with access to that system was Mrs. Cresswell herself." The judge raised an eyebrow. "Is this true, Mrs. Cresswell?" Evelyn's voice wavered slightly. I don't handle security cameras. That's the staff's responsibility." Laura leaned forward. "The staff logs show no maintenance that night. Someone deliberately deactivated it. That person didn't want anyone to see what really happened." The courtroom buzzed again. Evelyn looked uneasy but forced a smile. "This is nonsense. That maid is trying to ruin my family's name to save herself." Naomi stayed quiet, staring at her old employer. She couldn't believe how easily Evelyn twisted lies into truth. Then, suddenly, the heavy courtroom doors creaked open. Every head turned. A small figure walked in. Ariel Cresswell, wearing a simple gray blazer that looked far too big for her. In her hands was a folder. The nanny, red-faced and panicked, hurried behind her. "I'm sorry, Your Honor." She slipped away from me. The judge held up his hand. "It's all right. Let the child speak." Ariel walked straight to the front, her steps firm. She looked at Naomi, and gave a small, brave smile before turning toward the judge. "My name is Ariel Cresswell," she said clearly. "I want to tell the truth." The room fell silent. Evelyn's face went pale. "Ariel, sweetheart," she said quickly. "You don't need to." But Ariel didn't stop. "I saw Grandma that night. I woke up to get water, and I saw her in the hallway near her room. She had something shiny in her hand. I thought it was her ring, but she looked scared when she saw me. She told me not to tell anyone." Evelyn's mouth opened, but no sound came out. The judge leaned forward. "Ariel, are you sure of what you saw?" "Yes," Ariel said firmly. "She hid it in the wall safe behind her painting. I saw her close it, and I heard her say, 'Grace will be an easy target.'" Naomi's breath caught. Evelyn's hand trembled visibly. Reporters began whispering loudly. Even Julian, sitting in the back, looked like the ground had just been pulled from beneath him. The judge turned to Evelyn. "Mrs. Cresswell, do you deny this?" Evelyn stammered. "She's a child. She doesn't understand what she's saying. This is just a story." But her voice cracked. The confidence that once filled the room vanished. Laura stepped forward. "Your Honor, I formally request an immediate search of Mrs. Cresswell's suite at the Cresswell mansion. If the ring is found there, this case speaks for itself." The judge nodded sternly. "Request granted. Officers, carry out the search at once." 2 court officers left the room. The wait that followed felt endless. Naomi sat frozen, her hands clasped tightly in her lap. Evelyn's lawyer whispered frantically to her, but she didn't respond. After what felt like hours, the courtroom doors opened again. The officers returned, carrying a small velvet box sealed in a clear bag. One of them spoke. "Your Honor, the missing Cresswell family diamond ring was found in a wall safe behind a painting in Mrs. Evelyn Cresswell's bedroom." Gasps erupted again. Evelyn's head dropped. Julian stood up slowly, his face pale with shock and shame. The judge's voice echoed. "Mrs. Cresswell, you have the right to remain silent. Any further lies will be treated as perjury." Evelyn's eyes filled with tears, but she said nothing. For the first time, her power meant nothing. Naomi covered her mouth, shaking as silent tears rolled down her cheeks. Ariel ran to her, wrapping her little arms around Naomi's neck. Naomi held her tightly. The child had done what no adult dared to do. Julian approached slowly, his voice barely above a whisper. "Naomi, I am so sorry. I should have believed you." Naomi looked at him through her tears. "It's not me you should thank," she said softly. "It's your daughter." The judge cleared his throat. "Given the evidence presented and the recovery of the missing property, the court declares Naomi innocent of all charges. The case is dismissed." For a moment, no one moved. Then the room erupted, reporters shouting questions, flashes from cameras, murmurs of disbelief and guilt. Naomi didn't hear any of it. She just kept holding Ariel. Outside the courthouse, people were waiting. The same crowd that once called her a thief now clapped as she walked past. The cold air felt different, now fresh, clean, new. Evelyn was escorted out through a side door, her face hidden, while Julian stayed behind, watching Naomi leave with his daughter. For the first time since her nightmare began, Naomi could finally breathe. But deep down, she knew this wasn't the end. The truth had set her free. Yes, but it had also left behind wounds that would take time to heal. That night, Naomi looked at the city lights through her apartment window. The folded drawing Ariel once gave her still sat on the table. Beside it now was the court's official document. "Case closed, Naomi cleared of all charges." She smiled faintly and whispered, "We did it, my little girl. We really did it." The darkness that once filled her world had finally given way to light. The next morning, sunlight poured gently into Naomi's small apartment. For the first time in a long while, it didn't feel like a prison. It felt like home. On her table sat 2 things that meant the world to her: Ariel's old drawing and the court's letter of freedom. She ran her fingers over the paper and smiled softly. The storm was finally over. The world that had once spat her name now whispered it with respect. But Naomi didn't want revenge or attention. She wanted peace. Later that day, there was a knock on her door. When she opened it, Julian Cresswell stood outside. He looked nothing like the cold man who once turned away from her. His eyes were tired, heavy with guilt. "Naomi," he said quietly, "I don't expect you to forgive me. I came to apologize." Naomi stood still, unsure what to say. "I believed lies," he continued. "I let my mother destroy your name because I was afraid of going against her. I failed you, and I failed my daughter." Naomi sighed. "Mr. Cresswell, it's not me who needs an apology, it's Ariel. She was the only one brave enough to speak the truth." He nodded slowly. "You're right. She showed more courage than all of us." He took a deep breath. "Still, I want to make things right." From his briefcase, he pulled out a letter. "I've made a public statement clearing your name, and tomorrow morning I'm holding a press conference to apologize in front of everyone who wronged you." Naomi hesitated. "You don't have to do that." "Yes, I do," he said firmly. "People need to know what really happened and who you truly are." The next day, reporters filled the lawn of the Cresswell mansion. Cameras pointed toward the podium where Julian stood. Naomi didn't want to go, but Laura insisted she be there. When Julian began speaking, his voice carried across the crowd. "Months ago, my mother accused a woman who had served our family with loyalty and love. That accusation was false. Naomi is innocent. She was a victim of lies, and I take full responsibility for not defending her when it mattered." Cameras flashed as Naomi stood quietly in the corner beside Laura and Ariel. Julian continued, "To honor her courage, I am funding a new organization, one dedicated to helping women who have been wrongfully accused and silenced. And I've asked Naomi to lead it." The crowd murmured. Naomi's eyes widened. She had not expected this. After the conference ended, Julian turned to her. "I understand if you don't want to accept, but I believe no one else can do it better than you." Naomi looked at Ariel, who smiled and nodded eagerly. "Do it, Naomi. You always help people," the little girl said. Naomi felt her heart swell. She turned to Julian. "I'll do it, but not for money or fame. I'll do it because no one should ever go through what I did." Julian smiled faintly. "That's exactly why it has to be you." Weeks later, the foundation opened its doors in a small downtown office. The sign above read, "The Naomi Hope Foundation." Inside, Laura handled the legal side, while Naomi focused on helping women share their stories and rebuild their lives. Every day, survivors came: housemaids, single mothers, store clerks, women who had been falsely blamed, fired, or humiliated. Naomi listened to each of them with patience and care. One woman cried, "I thought I was alone." Naomi took her hand gently. "You're not, and you never will be again." The media that once destroyed her name now celebrated her. News outlets ran headlines like, "From accused to advocate, Naomi's story of strength." But she didn't care for fame. She refused interviews that tried to make her look like a hero. She just wanted to work quietly, helping others find the courage to stand up for themselves. Meanwhile, Evelyn Cresswell faced the consequences of her actions. The police confirmed she had hidden not only the family ring but other items reported missing over the years. She was charged with false accusation and evidence tampering. Her public image collapsed. The woman who once held all the power now lived in silence, away from cameras, her name forgotten. As for Julian, he changed too. He spent more time with Ariel, walking her to school, cooking breakfast with her, and listening to her stories. He became the kind of father he wished he had been all along. Sometimes he visited the foundation, bringing flowers or offering donations. But Naomi always made it clear, "Your help is appreciated, Mr. Cresswell, but this place belongs to the women." He respected that. One evening, Naomi sat alone in her office, sorting through case files. The walls were decorated with framed letters from women she had helped. In the corner, Ariel's first drawing hung proudly, the two stick figures holding hands beside a house. A knock came at the door. Laura peeked in. "Still working?" she teased. Naomi smiled. "There's always more to do." Laura placed a cup of tea on her desk. "You know, you've built something incredible here." Naomi looked around, her eyes soft. "I didn't build it alone. You believed in me when no one else did. And Ariel," she reminded me, "that innocence still has power." Laura nodded. "So, what's next?" Naomi leaned back in her chair, looking out the window. "Next? We keep fighting, not with anger, but with truth." Outside, the city lights shimmered like tiny stars. The air was cool, calm. Naomi thought of the day she had walked out of the police station in shame, how small and broken she had felt. Now, she felt whole again. She whispered to herself, "They took my voice once. I'll never let them take another woman's again." The following weekend, Ariel visited her at the foundation. She ran inside, waving a small handmade card. "Look what I made," she said. Naomi opened it. Inside, written in Ariel's careful handwriting, were the words, "Thank you for not giving up." Naomi knelt down and hugged her tightly. "No, sweetheart. Thank you for saving me when no one else would." Ariel smiled. "Daddy says you're family now." Naomi's eyes glistened. "Then tell your daddy he's right." The two laughed as they walked toward the window, looking out at the busy street below. People passed by, unaware of the quiet miracle that had unfolded between them, how truth, love, and courage had defeated lies and power.